Hey guys, Bolt Shooter here. Now, it's time for a summary of something that is not going to be on paper again. This one is going over don't quote me, all of the well-known fairy tales. Let me go get something real quick. Since I don't really do research for fairy tales, because fairy tales, everyone knows about what they are. So, since we have time today, I'm gonna go to fairy tales. So, a huge amount of things that I've been not wanting to do is done. Of course, everyone knows Cinderella. Basically, her father died, became a maid to the stepmother that got married. And then, of course, her stepsisters and stepmother took advantage of her as the works maid. And when the prince wants to meet a fair maiden, he hosts a ball. Basically, the godmother of Cinderella's like, you know what? Boopity boop. You can go to the ball now. You got till 12. Goes there. Falls in love with the prince. Prince falls in love with her. Somehow the magic works weirdly and a slipper is left behind for the prince to find her. Thanks to shoe size, and they get married just because of that one night. First love at first sight, but then get married even though they didn't give it a chance. Little Red Riding Hood, her grandmother's sick. Her mom gives her a basket of food and medicine, goes through the woods. A big bad wolf tries to take the food and her, but doesn't do it. But the wolf knows about the grandmother, runs to the grandmother. There's two stories. There's either the fact that the wolf eats her, or he throws her in the closet. But both ways, he imitates her. And then Red Riding Hood gets there. And then if it's the one where he throws the grandma in the closet, he throws Red Riding Hood in the closet with her, and he eats the food. And the other one is he eats Red Riding Hood. But the thing is, both ways, the lumberjack comes in, gets them out. And if it's the one where he eats them both, he kills the wolf to save the Red Riding Hood and the grandmother. Hansel and Gretel, basically, father is told by the stepmother to get rid of the children. So basically, he's like, I can't do it. They're my children. Stepmother leads them through the woods. They know something's up, so they bring breadcrumbs, but don't understand that birds will eat breadcrumbs. So they try to get back, but get lost. Which has a whole thing of appetizing looking candy, goes in, almost gets eaten, but, they work together as siblings, and they're able to push her into the oven. Sleeping Beauty, it was a thorn that was put in, that she pricked herself with, that made her, it was a magical poisonous thorn, I believe. And she fell asleep forever until first kiss. But the original story was, if you guys don't know, I do have a dark thing. The dark one is basically that the wolf got away. The dark one of Cinderella is that the fact that the sisters had to get the one cut her toe off so they can fit. The other one cut her heel off. But both the mother and sisters were ran off by crows pecking at them. Hansel and Gretel, I think the witch getting thrown into the oven is the most darkest. Sleeping Beauty, king comes around, rapes the girl. They have children, but one of the children suck off the thorn, and that's how she comes back. Snow White, basically, I guess it's a mother, another stepmother kind of story. And it's like, and then there's the mirror that says, who's the fairest maiden of all, and it's Snow White. And he's like, yeah, you have to kill her to be the most maiden. So Queen sends a person to assassinate her. Snow White, he's too caring, so he lets her be, and he cuts out a pig's heart and brings it to the queen. But finds out finally, but kills the hunter. Snow White comes across the seven dwarves. They're issues at start, but they're like, you know what? If you're willing to help us around the house, you can stick around. We'll help you. And then eventually, when the dwarfs are away at work, the queen has some magic tricks up her sleeve. Comes as an old lady and says, "Here's a delicious poison apple. It's a good delicious apple, and it's a poisonous one. And if you eat it, it's delicious." She was about to put it into a pie, but then she took a piece herself, and boom, she fell into an eternal sleep until the prince comes in it and makes her choke up the apple. And the dark ending is basically the witch is either killed or she's there's like these iron shoes that are put on her feet that burn her, and she has to dance around until basically the heat gets to her and kills her. Checking the beanstalk, mother gives the son beans to go gives a cow to go get some food and some stuff so they can survive. But then someone asks for, here's 3 magic beans as long as I get your cow. Of course, he falls for a magic bean, and mother's disappointed. He plants the beans hoping that can do something for them eventually. But then it becomes a huge stalk that goes to the clouds. The clouds is where the giants live. He finds a goose that lays golden eggs, and he basically cuts down. He's found out by the giant. He gets to the ground and cuts the beanstalk down. The dark ending is that the giant dies when the beanstalk is cut. The golden goose gives his family the wealth they wanted. Ugly Duckling, basically, I think it was a swan's egg fell in the nest, and basically the duckling mother raised the swan as her own. But since it's a weird looking thing at first, everyone sees it as outcast until the duckling finds out what he is. Trying to see. I'm trying to think what we haven't went through. Goldilocks and their emperor's new clothes are the only ones that I have not went over. Actually, no, I haven't went over Rapunzel. What have I not went over? Pinocchio. Pinocchio was just a piece of wood that was magically brought to life by the blue fairy. And Geppetto carved him as a puppet since he could talk, and he's like, "You'll be my new son." He gets influenced easily by people, and he's brought into a puppet show. Then he's also given to this someone who wants to become a slave owner to children that become donkeys, and then he gets swallowed by Moby Dick. So did Geppetto. Oh, and in the dark story, Jiminy Cricket, the conscience of Pinocchio, is almost smushed, and Geppetto almost eats I think it's a cat and a fish that are stranded with him. But he does, even though he almost does, but he's able to hold off. Emperor's new clothes. He hires people to make him clothes, but he isn't satisfied until someone says, "I can make you the most expensive cloak, and it's the best looking cloak." And he basically just he takes some days to finally come out with nothing, it seems, but he says it's an invisible cloak, and the Emperor believes it, and everyone's like, that's a good cloak, until a kid yells at the top of a tree saying, that guy's naked. And because this story is basically that children are so innocent that when they see something, the eyes of a child means it's true. Goldilocks come upon the three bears' house, eats their porridge, sits in their chairs, sleeps in their bed. They find her out, and she leaves, or she stays as a friend. There's several different retellings. Uh, we there's a lot of things that I haven't went over. Rapunzel's basically they kind of combined two story in the Rapunzel story. Um, the new Rapunzel Disney movie. Basically, there was one of the stories where there's a witch next door to a couple. They're wanting a kid. And basically, it was, I believe, a fruit or a flower that the wife wanted. The husband goes over, steals it, but then the witch knows about it and says, you can have it, but because you are stealing it, I will be taking your firstborn. Which Disney puts in as Rapunzel, and Rapunzel grows up in a tower alone. The mother protects her from the outside because it's so cruel, until a prince comes by and saves her by letting her hair down, and he climbs it. The nasty thing is, in the dark story of Rapunzel, the prince had there's thorns around there, so he ends up becoming blind. And it's because he pulls her down. That's how it happens. Alright, I'm gonna do one more story before I call it. Actually, wait. Princess and the Frog I haven't went over. Is there any other ones than that one? Okay. Alright, yeah. I guess we're gonna be going over the Princess and the Frog, and Alice in Wonderland. Princess of the Frog, basically a prince is turned into a frog by a witch. I have to go over Beauty and Beast. I almost forgot about that. Is there any others that I'm forgetting? Because Princess of the Frog, Prince turns into a frog, but until he gets kissed by a woman, which turns out to be the princess, and that's how how he gets turned back. And that's kind of the beginning of Fiona's parents from Shrek. That's the story of the Princess and the Frog. I got a lot to tell. Alice in Wonderland. Alice goes down the rabbit hole. The rabbit's like, I got no time. I got some date time. And then there's the Mad Hatter, and there's that weird cat, and they all go through this whole, we're having a nice time, until the Red Queen comes by and tries to kill Alice, and then she escapes through the rabbit hole again. Peter Pan and the Lost Boys, basically, Peter Pan is actually a dark story. He's a vengeful youth spirit that keeps pulling kids and basically keeps them stuck on an island and keeps them away from the kids. But basically, Wendy comes by, falls in love, then goes back home, then becomes an adult, gets married. He asks her to be the mother of the children there. Then she has to go by again. It's a weird story. Piper is just someone who can play a flute, who can control other people's. Rumpelstiltskin tries to steal a baby until he gives the woman 3 chances to guess his name. And on the third one, she gets it. And I got something on my teeth right there. And he has it's basically their agreement. He takes the baby if she gets it wrong. If she gets it right, he has to leave. The cow jumped over the moon. The spoon and the fork. That's basically mother hen nursery rhymes. Puss in Boots is just a robber. Humpty Dumpty fell off a wall. It was not an egg because they never specify it was an egg. It was a little kid that broke his skull, and because of that, he died. Yeah. All the king's men and all the king's knights could not put Humpty Dumpty back together again. King Arthur, basically magic sword stored in there. A lot of people call it the Dragon Slayer. And there's a dragon that threatens a kingdom. Whoever pulls the sword becomes king. It happens to be Arthur. Merlin is the magician who basically says who cast this. There's a lot of characters I didn't know. I forgot. Chicken Little, basically, Chicken had an acorn fall on his head. Said the entire time that the sky was falling. The fox says, yeah, it's completely falling. Hide in this thing and you'll be safe. And he eats them all. Gingerbread Man, basically, Gingerbread Man runs away from everyone not to get eaten until the fox says, I'll be your friend. I'll not chase after you. And the second he turns his back, the fox eats Gingerbread Man. Jack and Jill went up the hill to get a pail of water. Jack went tumbling down. So basically, Jack injured himself, and that's why they never got the pail of water. 3 little pigs, 3 brothers. One built a stick house, one built a straw house, and one built a brick house. The stick and the straw got blown down, and as soon as they got to the brick, they won. Oh, and then of course the last 2 stories I'll be telling is Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast. Basically, a long time ago, Prince opened a door to a maiden, and it was actually an ugly one. And she said, "May I be a service?" And he's like, "No, I don't like how you look." And because the looks were bad, she turned him into a beast and cursed him and his staff because he was a jerk. And until he found a true love who loved him as a beast, and didn't care for his looks, he would find him and his staff would be Kurt, who would be still alive. Belle came along with her father. Her father was an inventor, but because those inventions never worked, he was known as the town crazy. Belle was hit on by the town handsome and strong Gaston, and Gaston had like this not at all gay character following him around, praising him for his actions, and basically Gaston found out about Beast when Belle went to go save her father went out, got captured by the Beast. She heard of where her father was, replaced him in his position, basically went on a date. She started falling for the Beast. She was told to leave because of things, and then Gaston learns about it, takes the townspeople to go kill the Beast, but Gaston does get a shot in, almost killing the Beast, but Gaston falls to his death. But the townspeople are okay with it, as Beast him and his staff still live thanks to Belle accepting his love. And Little Mermaid is basically just We don't know who Ariel's mother is, but here's King Triton. He has the most powerful magical item in hands, known as the Trident. And Ursula, the Sea Witch, is just like, I wanted the Trident. I'll find some way, somehow. And then Ariel's born as a mermaid, princess mermaid. She's getting into human things. Then she discovers Eric and is like, I want him. Can I have him? And the thing is, since she's a mermaid, she can't do that. But because she saved him from a shipwreck, he fell in love with her. But the thing is, she's got to work things out. Ursula takes her voice. That way she can go as a human. But if she does not get love, she'll be turned into a part of the sea. And basically during that whole situation, she's able to take the trident and become all powerful, and things work out. Eric marries Ariel, and they have a kid, and Trident comes in, and then there's Ursula's sister, and then Ariel's daughter finds out about their past and wants to become a mermaid, so she makes a deal with Ursula as long as she gets that trident. Dark story ending. Basically, Eric falls in love with another character who looks just like her but with different colored hair, thinks that she's the one who saved him, so they get married. Then Ariel sees it, gets heartbroken, doesn't want to say anything, so goes back to be turned into suds to be put into the ocean. Darkness. Well, anyhow, guys, that's it for the fairy tales. I'll see you guys in the next video, which actually I'll be going over Shrek next time. And next time, we'll be in the Lost Pages. Have a nice day.